welcome to day one of the Fearbased strategy workshop. I am thrilled to have you all here. I'm a little late, but let me tell you why. And honestly, I didn't plan this. This is 100% as I was preparing to come on to do this. We're going to take like 30 minutes. We're going to dig into some great topics, and then we're going to do some Q&A. I had planned on going live on here and on Facebook. In fact, it had been a pivot from requiring everyone to come in a Facebook group, give me their email, because so many business coaches, and that's part of what I'm going to be teaching today, is that I am flipping the script and sharing you what I've actually done in my businesses in order to be able to have successful business with the life that I want. But as I was preparing for this, I logged on to have Facebook, logged on to have Instagram. We made that decision this morning in order for all of y'all to get this without having to give up your emails, without having to log into a group. And Mark Zuckerberg freaking blocked me from video. It has something to do with security settings. I had to get a new laptop, woke up yesterday, screen was cracked. So if you're coming over from Facebook, welcome. If you were already signed up and plan on being in the group, thanks for dealing with my pivot. And as you'll see, I just really felt like, and it's something that was really burdening my heart, I was like, you know what, all these business coaches, and we teach about, gating all our information, get people's emails, get them into funnels. And it honestly was gnawing at me this last week. And I had even pushed it back because of life. Life had happened. We were supposed to be doing these workshop days last week, and it was just gnawing at me. So this morning I woke up and I said to the team, I said, you know what, screw it. We're not going to put it behind an email wall. We're just going to put it out onto social media. We're going to put it as many places as we can, because I feel like what I'm going to teach today and over the next 2 days after this, so 3 whole total days, is so incredibly important, and that a lot of business coaches are not teaching this. So many are getting the quick money, right? The quick hacks that you guys can buy into, but they're not really teaching timeless strategies of how to actually make purposeful choices in your business. So here we are. Mark Zuckerberg is not going to dampen my parade. We're going to continue here, but just an FYI, if you have not signed up for this, I did have some signups. Go over to rachelbranke.com/strategy, or you can click it in my bio after. You don't have to do it in order to do the classes. Obviously, you're on for this one, and we'll have 2 more days after. But if you want to get the bonuses and downloads that I have available, make sure rachelbranke.com/strategy so you can snag that. But we can still have all the goodness here. So let's go ahead and get started now that we've been waiting on a lot of the Facebook people to come over. And again, I apologize about that. I had even tested it this morning and it was fine. New laptop, it is what it is. We are here. Obviously, the number one lesson that I just shared about is that stuff happens in life. You just got to go with what feels good for you and what feels good for your business. Now, here at Rachel Branke and in all of my different brands, we really truly believe that we want to develop a real business so we can have a real life. Our business is to be a supporting actor of our life, not the actor of it. Okay, so let's look at this. And if you took my time strategy class over the last few weeks, I talked about my schedule and how I visualize my schedule like a glass vase. And what we want to do from there, we identify the rocks, the most important things in our life, and we put those in the vase first. And then we pour in the sand. The sand is all the business stuff that we want to do. And this is how we kind of visualize our schedule. But I feel like this sort of metaphor is also adaptable into the things that we want to do in our business. And it becomes completely muddled and overloaded with all of these messages that you're getting on social media. And, something else that's been really heavy on my heart is, I'm trying to put out this information, but I don't just want to be a part of the noise either. So those of you that have interacted, engaged, and resonated with the messaging that I've been putting out the last few weeks, wonderful, because you are going to be able to transcend long-term consistency, moving the needle every day in your business. Whereas these people that are chasing this quick 5 hacks, this quick reel strategy, this, that, they're going to die off when technology changes again, or when the trends change, or when consumer buying mentalities change. I mean, look, for example, what happened this past year during pandemic. A lot of businesses completely couldn't sell anymore, because you couldn't have any consumers come in the door. They had to pivot. They had to learn completely new. Well, guess what? We may have not been able to prepare for a pandemic, but we can definitely prepare going forward of little changes. For example, I've been in business doing this for 16 years. So it'll be 16 years this year. And I can't even tell you how many different platforms have come and gone. I mean, when I first started dating myself a little bit on this, I started with an online apparel store. At the time, we didn't have these CRMs. I think MailChimp was relatively new, if it even existed at the time, but it was MySpace. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Instagram. We didn't have TikTok, any of that. So what I'm wanting you to visualize here is you reflect on where you've been in business and how many times that you have tried to play catch up on certain different platforms, certain different strategies, certain different actions. You're basically starting over every single time if, and this is what we're getting to, if you don't ground yourself into the real, REAL, write that down, but if you sign up at the link, I'm also going to be sending you the download later, REAL. It is research, evaluate, act, and learn. And we're going to walk through today and the next 3 days how we use this structure to strategically approach and make decisions in our business. In fact, in my group coaching program, whether they realize it all the time or not, even though I teach them this real structure, when I'm asking them questions, it's mirroring REAL. Today, we're going to target in on the evaluation aspect a little bit because we have to lay the ground floor. Just like we were talking about a second ago, real business to have a real life. That whole vase. We want to put our life stuff in first and then put the business stuff after. And I'm telling you what, when I realized this, when I was overwhelmed, when I wasn't sure what to do, when I was not attracting as many customers as I wanted, when I wasn't making the money that I wanted, I remember laying my head down on a desk and I was just crying. I was so completely overwhelmed. I was so tired. We were trying to financially make ends meet. And once I got simple and used this structure, everything became clear. You know, just think about it. You log on to Facebook, you are bombarded with ads. Some of them are probably mine, but I'm trying not to add to the noise. But you're bombarded with ads telling you, do this, do that, do this on Instagram, do that on Instagram, or on TikTok, do this. And it's driving me crazy because, like I said before, you're going to have to start over every single time that a new platform, new messaging, new buyer's mentality, new pandemic, or other worldwide event comes along. But if you stick with the real structure, it's going to make it easy for you to make these changes. And even if big things don't happen, you still need to evolve in order to be able to grow. And I get it. It can be very difficult, especially if you're sitting here watching this because you are overwhelmed. And many of you have come to me, you've been in my inbox, you've joined my programs, you just saying, I'm just exhausted, overwhelmed. There's so much information, so much noise. What can I do? Well, that's what I'm going to share with you. So go ahead and get a pad of paper and a pen, and we're going to dig into, let me get my notes here. We're going to dig into day one. Like I said, this REAL. So if you're just joining, this is the structure we use for all decisions. Research, evaluate, act, and learn. We're going to be really working on laying the foundation so that when we get to the evaluation stage, we know how to really implement. Oftentimes what happens, and friends, I'm raising my hand. I am one of these too. When I start letting fear drive me, overwhelmed, looking at the numbers, start panic pivoting, that I just go, oh crap, I need to do more reels. Let me go get a reel strategy download and let me do it. I haven't even gone into research. I haven't even evaluated what is the best. I just pick the first person I can think of that is Instagram Reels because I'm panicking. I need to get customers in the door and I don't do the research. What I mean by research is we need to identify what has worked for multiple people. And we're going to dig down a little bit into that, but that's just a little cliff notes there. The evaluate portion, once you've done your research, and we're going to walk through the research stuff over the next 3 days. Once you've done the research, you need to make sure that it even is going to fit with your lifestyle and your business. I've shared everyone, so many people, if you follow any business people on social media, they talk about client avatar, unique serving position, and all of that, but nobody actually stops to actually talk about how it can serve you in your business. And then you go into client avatar USP. Then you go into determining, doing the research. Okay, I know I need to get in front of more people on this platform. You want to evaluate in the context of your life. Let's go back to that vase example I gave a little bit ago. So many entrepreneurs. And guys, friends, it's like a rite of passage. I feel like we all go through these stages, whether it's the beginning of our business or we're going through different chapters of our business. We get to overwhelm, we get distracted, we panic, pivot, and we don't just simplify down to scale up. We don't just orient ourselves to see how can the actions of business fit within our life. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to define a few things. I truly believe in order to achieve freedom, this is physical freedom. So I want to be able to work anywhere or when I want, how I want. Emotional freedom, I get to make the choices, pad my pockets and my dreams and not someone else's, not let my clients dictate it. I lead them because I'm the expert, but also financial freedom. And I truly believe that finances are important. It's something that you should brag about. It's something you should be proud about. And brag doesn't have to have a negative connotation because I believe financial resources do so much to help so many people. Just a little side note here, one way that we do this and kind of brings everything around within that with our group coaching program is that we give 10% of every enrollment to a local women's shelter. And then at my law firm, we also have a program, it's called E-Law, and we have a program called Eden Grows. And so we work with local businesses who also work with the same women's shelter or through networks to find women that may be coming out of poor situations. And I don't mean financially poor, but like, domestic abuse, etc., down on their luck, and they have a desire for entrepreneurship. We help get them like an LLC set up, a business plan, a financial review, and all that sort of stuff. So that is why I'm so honed in on making sure we have these 3 buckets of freedom. And finance is a big one I talk about, not just so I can financially support my family, pay our bills, go on Disney trips when we want, but we're a big Disney family, but also so that I can pour into the community around me. But in order to get there, in order to be able to even use this real REAL structure, we're going to need to walk through this. So what I want us to talk about is first, how can we serve ourselves? How do we serve others? And how do we serve our community? And I just kind of started at the end and show you how we can serve our community, but we need to see first how we can serve ourselves. And I feel like a lot of times, and especially women, we have a tendency to think about ourselves last, and especially moms. It doesn't have to be a mom, but we have a tendency to think about ourselves last. Society has said, well, if you think about yourself, it's selfish. You guys have all heard the statements of you can't pour from an empty cup, self-care, this and that. It's so true. I just wish there was, next time you see it in your Instagram feed or on Facebook or Pinterest, pause on that cute little graphic that says, you can't pour from an empty cup, go take a bubble bath, go take a walk. Stop and contemplate on it, then actually freaking do it, because business starts here. So here's a couple of questions. So I hope you guys have a pen and paper, and don't click away from this. Don't just sit here and just listen to me. I want you to actually work through this. Now keep in mind, I'm not giving you all the questions of this worksheet. I'm going to be sending it to you. So if you sign up again, rachelbringy.com/strategy, you'll end up getting the full workbook of this. But I don't tell people in my group coaching program that they don't get to continue if they don't do this, but I can tell if they haven't walked through this, because then their decisions become more that panic driven versus about self, those around you. So it can be family, blood or not, and then your community, because that's where our impact is going. So how are you currently feeling in your business? I'm not going to necessarily say, hey, you, Sarah, I see you just joined. You must be overwhelmed. But I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you are watching this because you feel this pull, this need to get to the next level. You've obviously seen, I have shared what I have done, where I came from. Barely making $300 a month. And that was finally once I started turning revenue with my online apparel store 16 years ago to now consistent 6 to 7 figure years with multiple businesses. I say that because that is something that if it is what you are interested in, this is where we need to start. So what are you currently feeling? Physically, write it down. Write it down. Write it down. All right. And then on top of that, I want you to think about and finish the sentence. I no longer want to feel/think the thoughts of X. And I've shared about this on social before. If you start telling yourself, I wish I had time for that, or I wish I was making more money, or if I could only sell X more seats in my course, or, oh, if only I could go to my kids' soccer games instead of working on Saturday. Those are the statements that are an example of this. I no longer want to feel/think the thoughts of X. We are starting with how we feel and what we don't like or want to feel anymore, because that's going to help guide our decisions. Circling back around to the whole structure we're talking about, REAL, in evaluation. If we determine, okay, we need to get on social more, we know our people are on Instagram, and we know that Reels are serving to the algorithm. When we get into the evaluation aspect, once under research, we've already determined, okay, the statistics show that if you do 1 Reel a day for 30 days, then you get and I'm just making these up. I don't know if these are legit, but if you get a statistic that says 1 Reel a day will give you 35% more engagement on your social, And then the bottom range of this research shows, well, if you do one reel every 4 days, you get 20% increase in social. Okay, great. We have our research. And oftentimes people fall into the pitfalls. They just pick one and they commit to it. And they don't go to the next step of this, which is evaluate. Go back to what we just outlined. I currently feel X, and I no longer want to think the thoughts of X. If you're already feeling overwhelmed, you don't have enough hours in the day, majority of business coaches are going to tell you outsource, automate, do this, do that. And I'm one of those. I definitely think it has a place in Real Biz Accelerator. We talk about all this different sort of stuff. I walk through with students how we can get there, but we don't need to jump to that. Those are patches and band-aids. We need to first start with the actions, because guess what? When you go to choose a CRM, when you go to choose an auto scheduler, when you go to choose anything outsourcing in your business, you need to use the REAL structure. So when you evaluate, by here, if you found that one of your I no longer want to think thoughts to revolve around this aspect of overwhelmed, like I don't have enough hours in the day, not going to little Jimmy's soccer, then you're able to identify a couple of things. We need to switch around our priority. We need to not choose an Instagram reel structure that is going to be 1 reel or 3 reels a day for 30 days to get that percentage. What were the examples? The example was, okay, at the high end of the research that we found said that if you do 1 reel a day for 30 days, you'll get 35% increased engagement. The low end of the research told us if you do 1 reel every 4 days, you'll get a 20% increase engagement. Do you really need to go for 35% increase over the 20% increase? Is that 15% increase really going to be beneficial for you? Let's look at the detriment to this. We've already walked through the I no longer want to think thoughts of. If they are overwhelmed, lack of time, you are going to be only hurting yourself. Again, business should be a supporting actor. You're going to be hurting yourself, causing more overwhelm and more stress if you go for that high end of that statistic of like 1 reel every day for 30 days. We don't need to be having these quantum leaps of 15, 20, 30, 50% increases. I'm going to go on a little rant. I promised I wasn't going to do this during this workshop, but one of the whole premises of this is to flip everything on its head and teach you completely different than what other business coaches are doing. And I'm one of them. I'm one of them because I know the messaging, serves to show you guys as an example, but you see people who come out the door and there is this one ad and I don't even know the person's name. I've just seen it a lot in my Facebook feed and it's, I was 500,000 in debt my first year. The next year I was making 500,000. First of all, at what cost? At what cost? Did that person truly have a life in that meantime? For some of us, that's not physically possible to do. And you know what? Great. Fantastic. If they truly did it, hats off to them. But the reality is I would rather a 1% increase every single day and still get to go to my kids' swim meet and do their volleyball practice and be able to go to Disney and do my runs every day rather than work myself to the bone. And for what? What was the difference in the percentages? 30% at the high end, 35% and 20%. That's a 50% difference. Do you really need 35% increase in order to financially sustain your family? Or is 25% enough to get, or 20% enough to get you to your goal? So I'm just sharing this is kind of how we walk through, and so many people just jump to these are the tips and things that I need to do, and they completely ignore how it serves them. So just a quick recap. I currently feel I no longer want to think the thoughts of. The next question is, and I just danced around it a little bit, who am I and who do I want to be? Do I want to be that overworking person? And you know what? If you're willing to do that, fine. But I will caution you, I made the mistake for so many years in business to champion busyness as business, okay? BUSYNESS, busyness as business. In fact, even now, I'll get on the phones with other people in the industry and they'll be like, hey, how are you? And I have to catch myself from saying, oh, busy, And I'm like, wait a minute, that is not a badge of honor. That does not do anybody good. So in this question that I'm walking you guys through, who am I and who do I want to be? I'm pretty sure you're not going to write down, I want to be busy. Pretty sure you're not going to write down, I want to work 23 hours per day in order to move the needle, 25% versus 10%, right? Who am I? Who do I want to be? Now, here's the big question. And again, if you guys sign up at the link, I'm going to send you this. You can spend some more time tonight. I want you to focus on this tonight. And when we come back tomorrow, we're going to be compounding because I'm actually going to take this REAL structure and apply it to different things in the business, such as KPIs, key performance indicators, legal stuff. I might do a little bit of that. If you guys want to drop some comments, let me know, and I'll be happy to talk a little bit on that as well. I know I'm typically known for that. And I just realized I jumped into this and did absolutely no bio whatsoever, but that's how excited I am to talk about this. But I want you to walk through this because as we go, and really, so many people are not going to walk through this structure. They're not going to identify this real biz, real life definitions that I'm walking you through because they're going to go, oh, I've been in business for so long, I didn't need to do it. Or, oh, I don't even see how's that going to help me in my business. Once you have this structure in your mind, when you get to that E on REAL, decisions come like that. Decisions are like that. And why you want to have a quick decision based on putting the elbow grease in before, as opposed to what? Jumping from hack to hack to hack to hack, social to social, right? All right, so who am I? Who do I want to be? And now ask yourself, why am I not that person? I'd be willing to bet that it's going to mirror a lot of what we identified, and I no longer want to feel slash think the thoughts of, why am I not this person? Now, an FYI, I go through this. These are my own sheets of what I do at the beginning of every year. So before, whether I physically do it or I'm just running through it in my head, before I even talk to my team, before I even plan out our financial goals, I go through this and I reflect to the last year. So you can do this at any time. You can do it mid-year. I would especially say if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, you're not hitting your financial goals, you're spending more time on business than you are on your life, there's something missing. You did not use this in the E of the evaluation. So why are you not that person? Oh, the story I was going to share with you earlier, or I used to convince myself in business, and sometimes still, the busiest is not business, friends, but I would say I need to be busy in order to move the needle. Wrong. The entrepreneur that works 23 hours a day just on random tasks without strategy versus the entrepreneur that works 4 to 5 hours a day strategic and purposefully doesn't get a freaking badge. They don't get anything more. Are they going to make more money? Maybe a little bit, but it's negligible. It's going to be very small. And it's not to say that you can just lackadaisically go into your days and just blah, 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 not going to worry about it. You have to really be strategic. But what I will identify is if I am seeing, oh, we didn't hit that goal, I've probably strayed from who I am, who do I want to be, and I've probably fallen into this pit where it says, why am I not that person? I've probably fallen into old habits. Do not convince yourself that business is for you, that is your self-care time, that is just something for your escape from the world. I used it that way in the beginning. Friends, your business is not here to entertain you. Your business is not a hobby. Go get a goddamn hobby. Your business is your business. Now, that doesn't mean we don't love it. I love it. Look how excited I am. And of course, I'm getting a little on my soapbox here, a little hashtag Rachel's Rants. I love to teach so incredibly much. It fills me, it serves me in this, but it is not my hobby. It is not the be all and end all because guess what? It can be gone one day. All right, let's continue on this. So we're still in all about me. I want you guys to run through, and don't do it now because we're going to move on because we're running out of some time here, and I want to do a couple of giveaways. I want you to identify some things that you're good at. This is huge when you get to the E in real, because if you are not good at podcasting, if you're not good at creating reels, why force yourself? Yes, we want to balance that with we want to learn new skills. We're going to have to keep up with the times, right? But if you are not good at a certain skill, don't do it. Friends, I can't sing. I've seen these videos where people do, what are they called? Like satirical type songs. I would freaking love to do that in my business. I sure as hell know that if I started singing, y'all would not be coming around anymore. So I have to hone in on and focus on the things that I'm good at. So the next question is, I know that I can be what? And it's funny, before we got on here, didn't plan this. My 10-year-old's home for the summer. She's gone to camp now this afternoon, volleyball camp. But I asked her, I said, you're going into middle school. It's time for you to start thinking about what you want in the world. Create a dream board, a motivation board. Why as adults do we not do this? Why do we not answer the question of, I know that I can be X? Why do we not do that, especially in our business? For example, one of the things that I promised this year, well, let me back up. Again, like I shared a little bit ago, I said, don't convince yourself that business is for you and that, whatever, get a hobby. That's not your business, is not your self-care, no matter how much you love it. Like, I don't subscribe to the whole, where you can do something you love, but working a day in your life. Friends, I don't give a damn about taxes. I hate taxes, but it's part of the job. I don't love it when I'm paying Uncle Sam, okay? So I don't like that statement. But if I hone in on the things that I am good or not good at, then I can leverage those in my business, because we're all about simplicity. And one of the things that we walk through within Real Biz Accelerator and with all my students is real simple. So there comes that real, R-E-A-L, but it's also being simple. Like, we start with one platform, one product, one offering, one service. And then when you hit that, whatever your financial goal is, like we talked about the freedoms, then we look at adding on. But you can't do that if you haven't leveraged what you're good at. Now, here's the downfall. A lot of us, entrepreneurs especially, we are in this because we are passionate, we love business, we love people, we love serving, and right now we're talking about serving ourselves, but you're not going to be able to effectively serve people if you are not doing what you're good at. Or you're not going to be able to effectively serve people if you, if you, I would not betray, if you deceive yourself and convince yourself into believing you're not good at something. So when you're filling this out and trying to decide, okay, what am I good at? Because again, we don't want to just research, 30 days of reels is what we should do. Well, I'm going to do reels. Well, if you suck in front of the camera, it's going to hurt you more. But there's an element of learning it. And one of the things that I learned this year was getting in front of video more. I actually lied to myself over the last few years of, oh no, people are finally connecting on the podcast. They don't need to see me. I don't care if all the statistics say that video is the way. I'm just not going to do it. Friends, I got myself better at it. I sat down and learned at it. Am I the best at it? No. But so when you're going through this of identifying what I'm good at or what you're not good at, that's where you're going to put it in. You can see if it's going to be something you can improve upon. But then the next statement that we're talking about here says, I know that I can be X. I filled it out at the beginning of this year and said, I know that I can be more present for those that I'm trying to help. So think about it that way. And how's that? Well, again, sign up and you guys can do the rest of the, is rachelbringer.com/strategy. I'll send you this PDF and all of that, but you don't have to do it. I'm walking through a little bit of this with you. All right, so that we can get through this, we've got 2 more steps. Step 2 is about your life. Once again, we are honing in on that E of the structure of evaluate. We have this vase. We only have 24 hours in the day. We only have certain skills. We cannot effectively serve ourselves, those around us, such as our family, and the community and the world if we're not honed in on this. So step 1 was all about me. We just walked through this. Now we got to talk about your life, because once again, just because all the Instagram gurus tell me 30 days of reels is important, the very first question I have on here says, I describe my current life as blank. Many of you would probably put busy. And I understand that here in the US, we're running into summertime, kids may be out, which why are they out when they were out for a year for pandemic? I don't know, but I'm loving having them home again anyways. But I would describe my current life as X. And actually, here's a good time. Let's take a time out here. When you walk through this structure, this real biz, real life structure, these 3 steps that I'm walking you through today, and you're identifying all of this, understand that chapters of life are different. We have seasons of life. So just because you fill this out now, I'll probably reevaluate this again in the fall when the kids are back in school full time. Because right now, I would describe my life as busy. I've got so many kids in different activities because I'm trying to make up for pandemic. They want to have their social interaction, right? And so that I can get some stuff done. I'm not doing as much as I would like to do in order to show up and serve. I'm taking less clients right now. We are doing our last enrollment for the year for Real Biz Accelerator, the group coaching program. I'm taking less legal clients so I can be more present for my kids. But what will happen when I fill this out again? I describe my current life as blank. In the fall, I am the business owner. I am the captain of this freaking ship. I can choose what I want to do. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs, if you've gone through courses, if you've followed anyone on social media, you learn something. And then you're like, I got to be attached to it. I can't deviate from that because I got to hang on to this for dear life because so-and-so told me so and there's no way I can change it. the same thing about what I'm teaching you here, friends. This is going to change based on the season of life that you're in. And if you don't allow yourself to use the REAL structure and hone in on the A, I was going to do this A, but that would have been the wrong finger. If you hone in on the A, the E, evaluate, then you are going to get yourself into this box where you're probably at now. You're going to have no growth, you're not going to serve, and you're not going to make any money, quite frankly. So I describe my current life is, how do I currently feel about my life? Many of us are probably putting business before life, so you probably feel pretty blah and want to actually have it. And then here's the biggest question of all, and there's going to be more supporting questions in this download that you'll get. But when I think of my goal, real life, what does it look like? My life does not look like me only having 2 hours in the afternoon with my kids. In fact, this is one of the things that got me into entrepreneurship. I mean, I kind of always knew that I didn't fit into the 9-to-5 cubicle farm. I struggled against it. I worked for the Attorney General. I tried to do it for years. But I mean, I always knew that I was one to look at improving and changing things. I mean, it's actually funny because in school, you go back and look at my old report cards and it's the typical of like, Rachel's very talkative, but there's one that stands out. I'll have to get my mom to find it because she doesn't throw away anything of mine. I'm the only child, so that's why. But it says, Rachel is a joy to have in class, except when she's attempting to improve my filing and homework system. I mean, this literally was like 4th grade. I've always had the mind for that. However, I'm not willing at this stage in my life. And if you are, fantastic. I think come back around to me when you get to somewhere when you feel like you're no longer wanting to put business primary. And then, friend, I'm all about the hustle. We just want to be the strategic hustle. But I am not willing to fight against putting, again, we have our vase, and the rocks are the most important things in my life. That is like my family. That is my hobbies. That's my training for Team USA. That's having friends. That's literally getting to be able to go paddleboard in the afternoon if I want. And then I pour the sand in of business and everything else. Business is supporting actors. So when you are thinking of your goal real life, what does it look like? And I don't want you to define this as what it might look like now. You could probably do 2-prong. Maybe put in what you feel like is attainable now with some of the changes of the things that we've talked about, but also what does the actual goal real life look like? And for us with kids, that's going to change, or even without kids. Maybe you're working a full-time job, or you're not, or you are an aunt to a bunch of awesome nephews and nieces, totally jealous. I don't have any. And you just, whatever your life looks like, it's going to ebb and flow. So write out, though, what it looks like, because we're going to start here again, R-E. I'm not going to sit here. I know right now in the summer, taking on a 30-day reel challenge, REEL, like the reels for Instagram reels, is not going to serve me. I'm going to end up showing up. And actually, let me give you an example. Going into this, okay, coming up, I've been feeding and talking a lot about the different things that business coaches do wrong in the last few weeks, some myths of entrepreneurship, the whole busyness is not business, and all of that. And I actually was trying to utilize the structure of a business mentor of mine right now. And one of the things that I had done was I sat down to record some non-live videos, and I was so hard trying to stick to a script, and I was so hard to jam and get it done, even though all these things were going on. It was the end of the school year, blah, 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 blah. And you know what ended up happening? My team member is basically like my right hand. I had her review them, and she goes, honestly, Rachel, I had to keep forcing myself to watch the videos because you were so trying to stick into what somebody else's real business structure. I am embellishing a bit here, but what somebody else was telling you to do, how you had to do it, I was like this in my videos. Hi, friends. Now we're going to do point A. Then we're going to do point B. Whereas when I turn around and I thought, you know what, let me freaking walk the walk and talk the talk. If I do it based on the real life that I want, get in and get out on these lives, and that's what I'm doing. And then I can serve you and serve my family. All right? Yeah. So step 1 was all about me. Step 2 is all about my life. So let me ask you, what is holding you back? And I know these are little foo-foo questions, and it's very difficult for me to serve foo-foo type questions, but I promise, if you stick with me and answer these, when we get in within, the next 2 days, the 16th and 17th, when we walk through the real hard-hitting stuff, once you already have this in your mind, you'll be able to answer them boom, 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 and we'll move a lot quicker. So what is holding me back from my goal real business? Is it time? Is it unknown? Is it you don't know what you don't know? Is it a lack of strengths in some areas? Like if you have weaknesses in certain areas that you know are key? is that you simply just know you want to serve, but you don't know how to serve or what you want to serve. And you notice I say serve. I'm not a big fan of the term selling. I truly believe that we are here to serve ourselves, serve our family, can be non-blood family as well, and serve our community. All right. So what is holding you back from that goal real business that we've already identified? And how do you feel about these holdbacks? I'd imagine if you really sat down, and I hope you guys do after this, and identified how you feel about it, let me tell you what. Oh man, I wish I had the statistics for this. People are more likely, you people as well, we are more likely to do things to prevent pain than to move towards pleasure. We're more likely to prevent pain than we are to move towards pleasure. Okay, that's why like scarcity marketing works, fear-based marketing works, and all of that, because you are more likely to buy into whoever is marketing you with that tactic, even if you don't necessarily fully believe in the person or believe in the product or service, but because you're so scared of the pain or the negative outcome, then moving towards something positive. All right, so here's a really good example. I want you to think of it this way. You know, I don't know if any of you guys know my journey with my weight. I had thyroid cancer in the beginning of my entrepreneurship journey, and I gained a lot of weight over the years. It's very difficult for it to come off, and it's one of the reasons I got into triathlon, Ironmans, age group athletes. But I was reading some stories and had to do with this whole, like, people are willing to get away from pain more than they go towards pleasure. And there was a study, multiple studies, about you had individuals who didn't necessarily have health issues, but they were unhealthy, they were physically unhealthy, and they were less likely to move towards actually getting active and getting healthier on paper than it was than if they had a heart attack or some life-altering situation where they wake up in the hospital and then they change their entire their diet patterns, their habit patterns, right? So that's a good, perfect physical example to see that people are more likely to move away, to buy in, to move away from pain than they are to move towards pleasure. So my question to you is, how do you feel about the holdbacks in your real business? Because I'd be willing to bet, and I really didn't expect this to be like, oh, foo-foo, feel good, but we have to walk through this to get to the structure the next 2 days, is a lot of you are making decisions, fear-based pivots. So if you are in a situation where you've been trying something, maybe you tried into the Instagram reels, you bought into the statistics that someone put out there, and after 30 days, you're like, well, crap, it's not working. Oh, let me go pop over to this person. They say to use Pinterest. Oh, let me go to this person. They say to list build. Let me do this. Let me do this. You're literally starting over every single time when you jump one to one. And those feelings of holdbacks, well, first of all, you're causing the holdbacks. But second of all, those feelings of the holdbacks are going to continue. They're going to exacerbate, and you're never going to get towards that goal of a real business. And this is important for us to recognize this, because when we're sitting down to make a decision, like whether it's our KPIs, what social we're going to use, if it's going to be even the legal stuff in our business, if it's going to be business planning, we need to identify and determine, are we making decisions strategically, REAL, or are we allowing these emotional holdbacks to literally hold us back? What is grounded that's keeping me back? And oftentimes, if you guys take some time after this, you sit and think, more than likely you're going to recognize that it's old patterns that you've been doing over and over and over. All right? And I would hope that you would feel motivated to change them. If you do, why or why not? And there's more questions. So step 3, this is all about our business. And this is going to be more of the tangible aspect here. Once again, this is a structure so that we can use REAL over the next 3 days. Who do I want to serve? And here's the thing. It's funny. One of our, I don't know if she's on here, but one of our Real Biz Accelerator group coaching students actually just shared in our private community this week that she had identified, because this is part of the structure that I use with everyone in it. We go over a lot of what we just talked about. We talk about our client avatar, unique serving position, who do you want to serve, etc. And we use that also as a barometer, because then we do a reevaluation, REAL, analyze and learn. And she's doing her analyzing of after her content runway. She had already determined who she wanted to serve, and she had gone through the REAL structure. She's in the A, actually, analyzing, and realized she was attracting people that were not the ones that she intended to attract. So we were at this crossroads of, okay, is this time for a purposeful pivot? into these people and not change any messaging? Or there's obviously something wrong in the messaging if you're attracting the people you didn't intend to attract. And we were able to have the question. Now I went back, and this is the very exact question I asked her. I said, who do you want to actually serve? Because I think this is really important in entrepreneurship. And I understand in the first few years of business, and when I say first few years, it can either be your actual first few years of business, or it can be the first few years of a new chapter, program, product, etc. But it's easy to automatically have us be a chameleon and fit the people that are coming to us versus being very clear on who we're trying to serve and us adjust in response. And I know that when you see the money coming in, when you see the accolades, the Instagram follows, the YouTube thumbs up, you're like, oh, I should just ride this wave. But if you're not actually, because what did we just walk through? We want to serve ourselves first. The only way to serve others is to serve ourselves first. So if you're not able to adequately fill the cup of yourself, and you're simply chasing those that are attracted to you and you don't necessarily want to serve them, that's not going to be a long-standing business. Do I think that sometimes you can huff it out in order to get the financial resources and the physical resources you need to make a pivot and a change? Yes. I'm not saying completely throw a bomb on the whole thing, but you definitely want to keep in mind, who is it that you want to serve? The other one is, what is their biggest problem? What is their biggest problem? And we often have a tendency, and I am definitely one of these, have a tendency to try to serve to people what we think that their biggest problem is. Because the next question is going to be, how can I solve their problem? But the reality is, just because we know the solution doesn't necessarily mean it's what they want. You need to serve to them what they want and actually, let me back up. We want to sell to them what they want, but then serve to them both. What they want and what your solution to their problem is. Because again, we are the expert. We are the authority. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what your product or offering is. You are in this as an entrepreneur. You have a solution that is a problem to meet their problem or their need. But the thing is, if you're not getting people in the door, you're not clear on who do you want to serve, or you're speaking to the wrong people, or you're probably not targeting in on what their biggest problem is. In leading up to this, one of the biggest problems that I identified by simply shutting up and listening to all of you is that you didn't know how to make decisions in your business. But you didn't realize you were saying that to me. Instead, what I was hearing, and I've been dropping it along the way, you're overwhelmed. You want to get to the next level. You're frustrated. You don't have enough time. Friends, I could have sat here and done another time strategy workshop. I could have done a strategy workshop on how to kill the overwhelm. I could have done a strategy workshop on automation, but I'm not, because you have to have this structure here in order to move into that. So what did I do? I sold you, I'm not making money for this. I sold you on what you wanted, and I'm serving you both, which you guys are going to get really what you want in the next 2 days. I'm giving you what I want to give you now. All right. So what is their biggest problem? How can you solve it? And here's one of the big questions that you want to ask yourself. Why am I qualified for this? Why are you qualified for it? Is it simply because you want to? Have you put in the time and effort to learn it? Why are you qualified for it? And as entrepreneurs, we have a tendency to underestimate ourselves, to allow fear override. You guys heard imposter syndrome. And I've shared this before, like on the podcast and other places, but I'm going to say it again. So just in case it's something new, because by the way, this whole thing, even if it just touches one person and revolutionizes the way that one person looks at their business, it'll be a ripple effect. They will then take it in their business. They will get the freedoms we talk about, financial, physical, and emotional. And they'll also make an impact on someone else. So why are you qualified for this? So many people go, I've got imposter syndrome. I don't know. So here's the story. Imagine there's someone that is swimming around a lake. I do that. I did that this last weekend doing an Ironman. I love it. I'm a swimmer. But I even had times of panic. In fact, side note here, one of my kids has been watching documentaries on Megalodon. Okay, I don't even know if it's like real, whatever, made up. I don't know. But I saw a couple things of it, and I'm like, okay, great. Well, I'm going to swim this weekend. I'm just going to ignore it. I'll be with 2,500 of my closest friends swimming through the Choptank River in Maryland. I'll be fine. Nothing's going to get me, right? I'm one of the faster swimmers. I always have been, because I was a swimmer in high school and college. Well, at one point in the race, I went and did my motion, and I felt something on my hand. And I was like, oh God, this is how it ends. Megalodon's going to come out of the dark depths of the river, or a shark or something, and it's going to eat me. Was that any legit? No, it was something in the back of my mind that wasn't serving me, wasn't helping me. And what ended up happening was I started swimming faster to get close to the person next to me. And you could see on my watch, my heart rate like spikes and my speed increases. And actually that little burst of energy hurt me because then I felt more tired. Up to that point, I had been methodical. I had been very good. I was staying on the buoys. I was staying in line because you don't want to over swim, because then you swim a longer distance, you have a longer time. And I was doing so good. I allowed some mythical creature or something that doesn't even exist, something very unlikely to happen, to actually make me have a knee-jerk reaction that could have killed the rest of my race. That's a whole nother story we could talk about. But my point with this is that so many times we don't rest in the question of, why am I qualified for this? Why do I feel a desire to do this? And we don't stick to that. And instead, we get so focused on these aspects of, I'm not good enough. Other people do it more than me. And I'm going to tell you what, whether it's your first year of business or it's your 20th year of business, you're always going to feel this. But let me give you another quick little example here. Imagine someone's in the middle of a lake. They're swimming along and they're drowning. You're standing on the shore and they are like, help, help. They have a need. They have a want, right? They want to be saved. And nobody else is around. Take too long to call a lifeguard. What do? Do you stand on the shore and go, well, I don't have the right clothes, I don't have the right qualifications, I'm not sure. I mean, and let's assume that you're a decent enough swimmer, right? Like we're talking about qualifications here. I would hope that you're a decent enough swimmer not to put you both at risk. But the person drowning doesn't care if you are an Olympic swimmer or simply someone that swims in the summer and can hold their own. They're not going to say, well, hold up, friend. Tell me exactly, are you an Olympic swimmer? Or, that form's not good, don't save me. No, friends, qualification comes in many different levels. It comes from the desire for us to want to be in business. It comes from the things that we've learned along the way, and it's through the act of doing. So why are you qualified to provide this solution or this product or service? It can be a want or a need out into the marketplace. Again, this all goes back around to what we've been talking about this entire time. The structure that we're going to use over the next few days, and I'm about to bring it home here in a second, is REAL. I'm reiterating, if you've been on for this whole time, kudos to you, because I'm getting ready to do giveaways. But it is, before you make any decision in business, you're going to research it, you're going to evaluate it, you're going to analyze it, then you're going to learn from it, and then you're going to rinse and repeat. Because again, we don't want to start over new every single time. But if you're qualified when it comes to the evaluation aspect, then you can determine, is this into my strengths and weaknesses, or is this not? So step 4, we're going to connect this all. And this is what I want you guys to work on this evening. So I'm going to run through it quickly, and I'm going to go ahead and move into questions. Actually, do this. For the giveaway that I'm going to do here in a second, go ahead and start commenting. Just put an emoji, or make it a nice emoji, or your name or something, or maybe one of the key takeaways that you've gotten from here into the comment box. I'll pull from those that are commenting, and I've got a couple of things to give away there. But for step 4, to connect all of this so that we can bring this all home, we're going to define tonight the goal of what real business looks like. And then when you picture your real business supporting your real life, how does that make you feel? And what can you do from that? What can you do once you have the real business? So for example, what will accomplishing this real business as defined do for you in your life? What will it do? What will it do for you? Again, those around you and the community or society. And the bottom line question is, what is holding you back from a real business or real life? Oh, yes, at the end, make sure, I just realized at the end of my the PDF with more questions for you guys to download and fill out, I've actually got all the different areas that you can go over and how we would apply this. So, all right, that is the structure that we want to use for every single thing. Again, I know I've been hammering it and saying it over and over. I hope you guys have written it down at this point. REAL, because we are going to utilize it over the next few days. Here's a few of the categories that we're going to work on. We are going to talk about business planning, We're going to talk about finances a little bit. And actually, this may deviate. So if you guys leave comments on here, or you're catching this on the replay, I'm going to go based on what you guys want. I have my own structure, but I'm happy to change things as we go. Diversifying of income, balancing of business and life, offerings and pricing. I've got a whole long list of what I can do. So just give me a shout, whether you guys want to do it by PM or you do it by email or just comment on this video. I'd be happy. Maybe through this you've identified a huge pain point. I kind of gave you a little example with the Instagram reels, but I really want to dig down deep to really show you the whole structure, not just how we research. When we've really kind of gone over how do we evaluate it, we want to dig into how do we analyze, how do we look at the analytics, and then how to glean what we're going to learn from it, because then you want to rinse and repeat. We don't want to be jumping from action to action and starting over, because the needle never gets moved. All right, so I'm going to randomly pick some here. All right, so MCH Photo said creating a dream board is a great idea. Never really heard of that. Yes, I love doing this. And MCH Photo, I'm going to have, if you will private message me when we get off of here, your email, I will send you out a $300 contract credit. My team will be able to on standby to have that for you. And then Dog and Pony Show Photo. I'm also do the same thing. PM me. We have we'll let you pick which one of the courses that you want to have, and then we'll get you access for that. So friends, I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Like I said, take some time and really walk through this tonight and think about where the top pain points in your business are, because I want to tangibly show you how to apply this real structure over the next few days. This is more of the pop feel good type stuff, but it's very important to lay that foundation. We're going to build the house the next 2 days, and I will see you guys then.